What is going on, Kane Sport? Izubee Charles here for another installment of Inside the Lines. On today's show, we have Cam Ward's personal quarterback trainer, Darrell Colbert, who talks their journey over the last 5 years and what Cam has been working on ahead of his pro day in Miami on Monday. Sit back and enjoy. I know these last few weeks you guys have been, training in different states, getting a lot of work in. Just,
hmm
what are some of the specifics that you guys have been working on?
Yeah, it's a lot of of course, the biggest thing is the under center stuff, right? Getting him comfortable with getting under center, being under center multiple times, consistently, all the different footwork, under center 3 step, 5 step, 7 step, all of the different actions and different things like that. Going through the combine script of all the different throws, just all that type of stuff, just getting him familiar with it. At the end of the day, it's still ball, still him throwing. It's still him throwing the same routes, just getting to it a different way. Of course, didn't do. They actually did get under center quite a bit. They're probably one of the most teams that got under center throughout college football. When they would get in short yardage or on the goal line, they would get under center. I can vividly remember him pointing at, we running the ball right here. He was under center doing that. So he's been under center, but just getting comfortable, making sure he's comfortable and consistent with being under center and making all the throws. So that's been the biggest thing. And of course, doing all of the draft prep stuff, the combine stuff with the interviews and the board work and watching the film and stuff, watching the tape, being able to answer questions about why you did this, why you didn't do this. So just going through all that process, man. It's been fun. It's been interesting, but it's been fun.
Mhm. You mentioned, Cam pointing under center, telling people where he's going to go, the Heisman Trophy ceremony and, all this stuff in between, winning the Davy O'Brien, crazy comeback against Cal, the duel with Kyron Jones at Virginia Tech, just, watching, at the games and, on TV, just what's been your favorite part about, this season watching Cam, shine at Miami?
I think for me, it's just him getting what he deserves. For me, being able to be on the bigger stage at the University of Miami. Like I say all the time, he's been doing this stuff. This is stuff that he did when he was at Wazoo, UIW. It's just on a bigger stage now. And not playing at 11 o'clock at night where everybody's sleep and all that type of stuff. So everybody's getting a chance to see it. He puts the work in and day out. He loves it. So for him to be able to get the recognition, get all the pat on the back, even though he doesn't care about any of that stuff. But from my perspective, I think he deserves it. I think he deserves more of it. And so just for him to be in this position to be the potential number 1 pick of the draft coming up in a couple of months, I think that's huge, and I think he deserves it. So I think that's the biggest thing for me.
Mhm. And you mentioned, Cam's always, said throughout the season he doesn't really care about the accolades and, all that stuff. But, when you guys talk, just what does he say about experience and his time, at Miami with the Hurricanes?
And he loves it. Like, he can't wait. We're gonna be out there, for pro day a little bit before pro day. Get out there and work with his receivers. He's looking forward to getting back out there. Of course, the weather, the beach and everything. So he's looking forward to it. He loves, the staff. He loves the guys in the building. He talks to like literally. We'll be working out, finishing up the workout, and he'll go get in the sauna, and I walk in there. He's on the phone with somebody that's in the building, personnel, coaches, old teammates, whatever it is. So he loves this. He loves Miami. He loves his time there, and he's looking forward to being back out there for pro day.
And I want to ask you about, the training sessions. Obviously, we see him on YouTube, Instagram, people cutting up with him and, Shador going back and forth. Obviously, we only see it, from YouTube. You get the full experience. Just talk about
hmm
those training sessions and how awesome it is to see those guys, go back and forth through, potentially the number one and number two quarterback off the board this year.
Yeah, it's a like I said earlier, it's a blessing. Because that's not normal. Being able to have two guys like that at that caliber, what's ahead of those guys to be able to, work and go through this process together. I think they do a great job of, like I tell everybody all the time, they have a genuine relationship. They have a genuine friendship. So they're bouncing ideas off each other. How did you answer this question? They're talking to the same people because they're pretty much in the same position. So they're doing a lot of the team interviews the same way, and one of them can give them a heads up like, oh yeah, they asked me about this, or they drew up this, or this was the concept that they showed me. Just different things to be able to do that. And then when you get to the training stuff, like man, that's been going on for years. Like
Mhm.
literally, if we recorded every single workout for the last 4 or 5 years, man, it's just endless footage of just those guys just going after it, getting after it. And I think that's what makes our training session so special. With that trash talk, trash talk brings the best out of each other, out of anyone. But I think with those guys, when we're working, it just brings another level of attention to detail because neither one of them wants to miss a throw. Neither one of them wants to, if I'm telling them hit him on the right shoulder, neither one of them want to hit the guy in his chest because they know the other one's going to let you hear about it. So that's a thing in itself. For me, I get used to it.
Hmm.
I let them go, let them do their thing. And, I don't even, like, you'll see me in the videos, just walk away and go set up another drill or, something. Let them do their thing because trying to just be like, all right, let's go. You gotta be ready to go to the next drill. And, so by the time they finish all that, I finish the next drill and we get to it. But man, it's a blessing to see. Just living in the moment, the opportunity that we're given and the opportunities that I'm given to be able to help these guys on this journey has been top tier. So just being able to see these guys, these two young black quarterbacks in this position, and kind of doing it their way.
Hmm.
Not doing all the general stuff that people may do, So they're doing it their way and they're having fun with it and they're doing it the right way.
That's awesome. And I want to ask you, you mentioned it, you've been with Cam since his time, in the Cardinal Ward at Wazoo,
Hmm.
now to Miami. Just, if there was one thing that you've seen, his game or one aspect of his game that you think he's made the biggest jump throughout that time, what would it be?
You can talk about little things for cleaning up little things with mechanics and base and things that he's wanted to get better at each and every year, and he's done that. But I just think I don't think it's something that has gotten better, but I think one of the biggest things that I just love to see about Cam and just based off of everything that he's been through for us, the recruiting process and everything like that, like and just being able to this year, like literally like get everything that he's getting for us, all of the awards, all of the records he's breaking. Like, bro, he literally it's so crazy. Like when you really think about it, he was at Miami for what 11 months,
Hmm.
maybe, and all the great players that have played at Miami, and Cam Ward has his name literally in the rafters in the building. Like that's crazy to me, right? So I think just who he is and man, just being able to see all of this stuff, and I think he deserves this stuff. But to your question, I think the biggest thing is just seeing how he stayed true to himself each and every year, not knowing what's next, always believing in himself. I think that's something that has been something that has taught me a lot. I'm big on believing in myself, and I'm always telling guys, "Hey, you got to believe in yourself." But just to see him go about it the way he does each and every year that I've known him, it's been something to see.
Mhm. And then I want to take it back a little bit when we first, connected. When Cam first committed to Miami, you said, he reminds you of like a Patrick Mahomes, Caleb Williams type of guy. Now a lot of people are seeing him, man. What do you got to say to the people that were kind of doubting you, back then when you said that?
Tried to tell him, man. They ain't want to believe me, man. They said I was tripping, and it's not just saying, hey, this kid is Patrick Mahomes or this kid, it's not that at all. But it's the play style. Cam watches Patrick Mahomes. Cam watches a lot of guys. So just a lot of the different things that you can do, that he does, and if I say, oh, he does it like this at Wazoo, nobody watched it. So you got to give him somewhere to kind of, hey, the stuff that Patrick Mahomes be doing. Somebody's running at him, he just sleeps. Yeah, that's the type of stuff that this guy does. That's who he is. So it's crazy that that's just how it is. Nobody believes until it's done.
Mhm.
He said something not too long ago. It might have been one of the videos. I don't know where he said it, but he was just like, everybody giving me a pat on the back now, not and all that. He phrased it some way, but it was a great way of saying it. Like I'm not listening to that. I'm not worried about that. Once you start listening to that, once you start worrying about that, that's when everything goes downhill. He was like, they should have been patting me on my back. They should have been telling me this. It's just how he feels about himself and the work that he puts in and the product that he was able to put out there every Saturday.
And then my last question to wrap things up, we've seen, Coach Cristobal talk about why he thinks Cam is the best quarterback in this year's draft. Cam saying, hey, watch out if you pass over me, I'm going to make you pay. But you've been a guy that, like I said, has been with him throughout this whole entire journey pretty much. Why do you think a program or a team should draft Cam Ward? Why do you think he's the best quarterback or one of the best quarterbacks in this draft?
Man, the amount of football he's played, I think a lot of people are starting to talk about it, and it makes sense. Cameron, regardless of what you may say about the first 2 years that he played at UIW, played 2 years at Wazoo, and then this past year at Miami. That's a lot of football. Most guys who, and it's not a It's not a knock. It's not a good thing. It's not a it's not a bad thing at all. But I think it's a good thing that about how much football he's played. A lot of guys who get drafted in this position, they have 1 gig year of football, or they play 2 seasons, make red shirt, and then play the next 2 seasons. It's very rare that you get a guy at this level who's played this much football going into the NFL. Yeah, of course, the NFL is completely different, faster, a whole different ball game. But he's seen a lot of football, so that's going to help him. So I think that's one thing, and just his confidence and belief in himself to be able to go into 3 different programs and change the program and become the leader and change the trajectory of the program. Doing it at UIW as a freshman, as a true freshman, coming in. Most people get the spring and the summer. He didn't get nothing. He got what the that December and went to it and won the job, and then going to Wazoo and winning over the locker room, doing the same thing there, and then bringing the back to where it's at now. Being there and it happened quick, man. When I went down there for spring practice, he got there what mid January. I went down there for spring practice, man, and you could tell he was the leader. He was that guy. The guys believed in him. So just being able to see how that guy has changed and what he's done for 3 programs. I think it's a no-brainer that if people get the opportunity to take him, that they know that what he can do. He's done it. Of course, it's at a different level, but they've seen his product, and they've seen what he's put out there.
That's awesome. Well, Darrell, like I said earlier in the show, man, I really do appreciate you taking the time for this interview. I know it's probably hectic up there. A lot of stuff going to be going on these
Yeah,
next few days for you guys. So best of luck with that. Where can everybody, find you on social and all that good stuff, man?
yeah, man. Select QB Athletics. So Select QB Athletics on Instagram. Select QB Athletics on Twitter. And you ever trying to reach out, selectqbathletics.com on the net, man. So it's easy to find, easy to get in contact with, man. And we can keep this thing going and find somebody else to send up to the 305 for y'all, man.
Hey, let's get it rolling, man. Let's get that select QB to Miami pipeline going. Well,
Got
Darrell,
to
really
do
do
it.
appreciate the time, man. For Darrell Colbert, I'm Izubee Charles. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day.
Nah, for sure.